Hello, episode number 36 of the PJ and Pals podcast. My guest today is my pal Rob, who is the matchmaker for BTC Fight Promotions. And I have actually fought for BTC one time a couple years ago. I fought a man named Vladimir. It was a good fight. We were up for Fight of the Year, but unfortunately we didn't get Fight of the Year, and unfortunately I didn't win that fight. But I've been keeping in contact with Rob since then, and they decided to bring BTC Fight Promotions to Ottawa. So I'm very excited about that. It's going down in just under 2 weeks, August 24th at the EY Center. Unfortunately, I was planning on being on the card. I actually turned down fights in June to get ready for this card, and I suffered an injury in training, and it's the first time I've ever had to pull out of a fight. So I'm very sad because it's also here in Ottawa, but that's how it goes. You never pull out of a fight, and then when you fight in the city you live in, that's when you get hurt and have to pull out. But so Rob joins me. We talk about the card. I know lots of fighters on the card, like Kevin's fighting, a guy that I fought, Nolan Brandt's on the card. Who else? Jolene is on the card. Few people here and there that I've trained with or seen fight in the past. So, and Dan Lehrer, who I've trained with for the last 4 years at N1, he's also on the card. So, card is going to be amazing. If you're looking for something to do on August 24th, mark your calendars at the EY Center. You can get tickets at btcfight.ca. Also check them out on their social media, Instagram and Facebook. So, this podcast is an interview with Rob Veevers about the upcoming card. Again, very excited for it. I'll be there. Hopefully you can join, and tickets are very, very reasonable. Cheaper than all the amateur MMA fights here in Ontario and Ottawa and Gatineau, and the prices range. So you can buy $30 tickets, or you can buy, I think the front row tickets are $65 or $85 for front row tickets, so amazingly priced. Anyways, let's get an interview. All right, well, we're live with me, Rob, from BTC Fight Promotions. How's it going, dude?
It's going very well, my man. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining me. It's kind of exciting to talk about the pro MMA that's coming to Ottawa, because it's been a long time since professional MMA has been in Ottawa. You know, it's been in Gatineau, but that doesn't really count. And you're bringing the show here. It's just incredible. Have you been to Ottawa? Do you know Ottawa well, or?
Yeah, I've gone to a couple of rec shows out there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, in Gatineau, grade 7 or 8, I think there was like a school trip to Ottawa. I've been there.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because my dad still wears the T-shirt that I bought him as a souvenir.
Did you go to Parliament or something?
It's just got like a Mountie bear on it, and it's whatever. But I'm 36. I think 36 now. So however old you are in grade 8, that T-shirt's
30 years, probably
got a couple
20, 25, 28 years, I guess.
Got some mileage on it for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I have been to Ottawa, been to the rec shows. I know that there's certainly a fan base for martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kickboxing, Muay Thai is huge out there, lots of grappling tournaments. So let's round that out with
pro MMA. Yeah.
A solid MMA card, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you guys to come, and we were chatting a little bit before, and it's unfortunate I can't be on the card because I fought for you guys. It would have been 2 years ago now, in September, and it was actually one of the most well-run shows and most fun I've had on a show. So I've been trying to get on your card since, and we just haven't been able to make it work, unfortunately.
There's the community in Ottawa, yourself included, is part of the reason why we wanted to come out there and offer an opportunity for guys to fight at home that haven't really had that opportunity much in the past. So I was really excited about being able to have you on the card, and then of course some more unfortunate things that happened, and here we are talking about it rather than watching it, being in it.
Yeah. And like I was telling you, I've talked about it on my podcast. I got 2 podcasts now where we've been talking about it a lot. I've never pulled out of a fight, and it figures the first time I get to fight in Ottawa, I have to pull out. Because Ottawa's had amateur MMA for a while, and it had amateur when I was fighting, but it was always Friday nights, and I couldn't get Friday night off work. If they had to put them on a Saturday night, I could have fought on them, but they always were Friday nights.
Right.
So, but still exciting. So how's the ticket sales going?
To be honest with you, I haven't checked. I've been way too swamped with putting things together as it is. I'm sure they're going fine.
Well,
The beauty part of my job is that although I am concerned about it, it's not something that I'm getting like a weekly update on and checking to
yeah.
see how progress is going. Um, I've got other tasks involved, and we're doing this one here in August, but I'm already looking at the November show,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to get booking 2020, and find out where we're going to go then as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on with BTC Fight Promotion, and yeah, ticket sales is not exactly where I'm focused
Concerned. That's
on.
okay. I thought I'd ask.
No,
'Cause I was looking at the price of tickets earlier because now I have to buy a ticket. But I might corner someone who's coming up for the show. But yeah, the ticket prices are actually like fantastic. Like a lot of times here in Ottawa, you know, there's Thai shows, there's grappling tournaments. They're charging $50 for amateur
yeah,
guys to swing each other's face. Like this awesome thing about BTC last time I fought, like, you know, you could pay, you know, $100 for a ticket, or you could pay $30 for a ticket, and it's the same thing now. So you have a wide range of ticket sales from $30 to $100. I think front row is only like what, $80 or so, like that. So
60.
$60, which is
Yeah.
incredible for professional MMA. So if you're listening to this and you haven't bought your ticket yet, or you're debating about going, definitely check it out, because also it's professional MMA. It's not like these amateur rec shows that we've seen here in Ottawa for a while, like Heroes and Rec, like because Rec's been doing amateur. Not that anything's wrong with those,
Sure.
but you know, it's a big jump up when you see
Nobody's coming off the couch to compete in the card on the 24th.
Yeah.
It's what do you get with the pros? But the idea behind the affordable ticket sales was to get bodies in the door, to expose our brand to fans that may not otherwise have an opportunity to go. And the more eyes on the product, on the fan or on the fighters, the better for everybody. So the idea with that is get them in the door, and then they'll see what's going on and how good the cards are. Like I'm really proud of the 5 shows that we've gotten the can so far. They've all been spectacular. The turnout's been great, and the fights have been fantastic. And I don't expect anything less on August 24th.
Yeah, very excited. So let's talk about the card. Do you have a main event right now? I've heard some names being thrown around, but
yeah, we've got main event is Adam Asenza versus Josh Wick for the 155-pound title.
Awesome. So you're bringing a belt here to Ottawa.
Bringing a belt, bringing the trophy, yeah, bringing some hardware for sure. We were close to having a second title on the card, but that injuries have been the common denominator with this show. It's frustrating, but injuries knocked that off of the top of the bill. But nonetheless, yeah, we do have 155 pounds Asenza versus Wick. That is a super exciting fight that I think the fans will thoroughly enjoy, even though there's not one of their native guys competing for the hardware.
Yeah, we've got a few local guys on the show for sure. But Adam Asenza, is that how you say his last name? Asenza? Asenza. I've seen him fight before, and he is a monster. So is there anything you can tell? Like, because I've only seen him fight once, but you've probably seen him fight a few times, and you know what he can bring as a headlining fight.
Yeah, he's fought for BTC. I want to say 4 times. 4 times already, and each time he gets better and better. He is improving constantly, and he's fights to finish. You know, he's a kill to be killed guy. Like you can see his resume over his 15 fights, pro fights, is that he's either finishing or the fight's a war, and he's on the wrong side of it. But lately he's been on a bit of a tear, first round knockouts, plethora of first round knockouts, and he can get it done on the ground, and his ground game is improving vastly since last fall. That's been a big focus for him, I understand. So I fully expect him to be able to round his game out fully, because Josh Wick's coming to fight, and Josh is a guy that can knock you out or submit you with high-level stuff like heel hooks and knee bars and that sort of thing. And the kid's hungry. He's 24 years old, coming from Denver with the Elevation Fight Team.
Yeah, which is a sweet fight team, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of big name guys there, so he's getting a lot of good work. he's young and hungry, and he's ready to come and bring it to. He wants to take all that hard. He's bringing an extra bag to take the trophy home with him.
Yeah.
So he's not coming in to roll over. So I expect a dynamite fight between those two.
And I'm just pulling up Josh Wicks' stats. So he's 24 and he's been fighting since 2012. So he's literally been fighting since he was 18 years old. He looks like he's 18 years old, but so that's going to be insane.
He's gonna. I think we have to get an additional plane ticket for his guardian to come with him.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk. Let's move on to the co. What's your plans for the co-main event?
The main event is definitely has loaded with some local flavor. Dan Lehrer is
a training partner of mine. Yep.
Training partner of yours, yeah. So you know him quite well. Been talking to Dan a lot over the last little while. Another reason why we wanted to come to Ottawa. He's going to be taking on Patrick Connors at 155 pounds. And, in a fight that probably would fly under the radar for most looking at the card. But I think this is going to be a super fun fight for both guys. I don't expect Dan to have any interest in leaving there.
No.
Go to victory. I don't think there's no chance for that. So he's going to come in hungry, and Pat's coming off of a couple losses back to back, so he's just as hungry. And we'll see what he's like at 55. This might be a permanent thing for him. Up to 55. Both guys. I mean, Dan's fought at 45 before. But he's getting older. He's not as active as he once was. So this is a fun thing. I know he's retired a bunch of times before, so I don't want to say this could be his last hurrah. But I know that he wants to go out and have a good time and entertain the fans like he always does. So I think that this fight really allows for both of them to use their full set of skills and put on a show.
Yeah. So we mentioned that Dan has retired before, but because he fought in Gatineau about 2 years ago. November will be 2 years because I was on that card as well. And he fought a BTC veteran as well, Pelagato.
Joe Pettigrew.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joe's an awesome guy. We were cutting weight last time together. And and the thing with Dan is right now me and Dan aren't on speaking terms, which happens sometimes when you're training with guys and you have to punch each other in the face. And, sometimes you need a little break from each other. But, so knowing Dan, like Joe Pettigrew is a tough fighter, and Dan went out there and just went to war with him. And Dan's fought David Moon. He's fought on the World Series of Fighting, and nobody can ever.
I remember that fight with against Garrett Nyback, and that was a good fight. That he was brought out there to lose, and I'm sure he knew that. And I believe, if memory serves me, he got to make quick work, like rear naked choke or something like that. He won that fight. Yeah. He's had the highest levels for sure. TKO.
Yeah, and he's had a few knee problems here and there. He's had to have ACL surgery on both knees, but he gets in there, and you could hit him with a sledgehammer, and he's still going to come forward. He's absolutely, I'll put money on this right now, he's going to get cut. Dan, he gets cut all the time. He went to a bachelor party, and he got the nastiest cut I've ever seen in my life. Like, he was just at a bachelor party. Wrestling around with a guy, bam.
On his head or something.
Something hit his eye and it exploded. Like, Dan gets cut all the time. In training, he's got like paper skin or something like that. And he judges me because I never get cut. I've been cut in one fight, and that was actually on BTC. And that was interesting. I've never been cut before. So you take like a second because you're like, holy shit, I'm bleeding. Yeah. So, and that always makes for an interesting fight when one guy's covered in blood. And Patrick Connors, I saw him fight on BTC. I couldn't believe he made 145. Because at the time, I was thinking about moving up to 145 because, I had trouble I couldn't make 35, and I was just looking at him. I was like, that guy makes 145. Like, how is that possible?
Crazy.
Yeah, we were calling him the twin of Justin Trudeau, so he'll fit right at home here in the capital. And he's got really good jiu-jitsu, right? Like, if I recall.
He's a well-rounded guy. He's more of a Thai boxer than anything. And I think that was part of the reason why he started sharing his time at Parabellum, was to round out his wrestling and his no-gi jiu-jitsu. Where he's at in Barrie, Empire MMA. They're primarily Muay Thai or kickboxing club.
Yes, I have a buddy who I used to train with about 10 years ago. It was out in Empire. So yeah, they're under Damian Maya's lineage as well, but or they used to be. I'm not sure if they still are, but cool. So that's going to be a good fight. I know Dan's excited to fight in Ottawa because he hasn't fought in Ottawa in quite some time too.
Yeah.
All right, next fight on the card.
Let's do, maybe you may not be on speaking terms with this young man either, given the situation. But
no, me and Kevin are good buddies still.
Your pal Kevin Bastien?
Yep.
Kevin
Bastion.
That's what I
Yeah, you got to add that French accent in there.
I used to be really good at pronouncing. Now I just butcher them.
Oh, fuck. I worked in radio for 10 years, and you just give up after a while. You're just like, yeah. Nobody gives a shit about your name.
Card a couple of years earlier, maybe it was BTC 2. I can't remember, but we were doing some interesting way of announcing fights, and Alex Bull. I still mess it up. Beaulieu, I think is his name, and I bumbled something out of my mouth that wasn't even remotely close. People torched me online for it the way that I said it. So I'm not great with names, especially French ones, evidently. Kevin Bastion is we had a couple different change-ups with him as far as opponents are concerned. But I just realized this now that you can probably help him out a little bit here. He's fighting former opponent of yours, Surrey City.
So, Kevin texted me immediately about that when he got offered that matchup. So
you know what? I got to give him credit and his coaches credit. They had a couple other options. Now I don't want to say that they were easier options by any means, but as far as professional experiences, the other options didn't have the 3 fights that Surrey had. I assumed there was going to be, they would pick, number 2, guy A, for example. And they're coming back and say, no, we want that Surrey fight, and let's make it happen. What do we got to do?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that both sides were able to be accepting of that. I know that Surrey's looking for a climb up. He keeps the guy
had a lot of opponent changes, eh? Yeah.
It's been crazy. Like I used to really like 145 pounds, the division for the men. I hate it now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's cursed.
Yeah.
It's just a carousel of bodies that come in and out. But eventually you get a good fight out of it, and I'm excited to see what Kevin's got. I know he's only got the listed 3 and 4 or 3 and 1 amateur fights, but I'm sure that there's a lot of other kickboxing fights, and then there's some grappling.
Yeah, he's had lots of kickboxing fights, and I'm surprised his Topology doesn't have more fights, because I know he's had more than 3 and 1. He's a little bit more experienced than that, but so Kevin and I are teammates together. We were training really hard one night, and he ended up punching me in the face, and I was a little exhausted after a long day of training, and I got it was probably the worst I've ever been hit in my life. First time I've ever been knocked out like that. So I know Kevin can punch. Kevin's got fantastic striking. And talking about his opponent is a guy, obviously I know about, but we spent about 10 minutes inside a cage together. And Surrey was the first person ever to knock me out in a fight. I wasn't knocked out, because I have to keep some dignity, but he, a lot of people thought it was a body shot. It was definitely not a body shot. He hit me with a body shot, I backed up, dropped my hands, and he timed this cross really perfectly, where he steps in and hits me with a cross, and just it felt like a lightning bolt on my eye. Like, it felt great. So blinded. They thought I broke my orbital, but it was okay. A couple days later, the swelling went down. Yeah. And so I gave him credit. It was I personally think, I don't know if you've seen the fight, I thought I was maybe getting the better of him. He was backpedaling a lot, but it only took one shot from him. So that's what's going to make this a very interesting fight, because Kevin's going to be pushing the pace coming forward. I know Surrey he'll backpedal, he'll stay calm, just like he did in my fight, and he'll look for his openings. Grappling-wise, I didn't get to see Surrey too well on the ground, but he's a young kid, trains at Parabellum, so we know he's going to have some grappling. And Kevin has some really good grappling himself. So that's going to be a great MMA fight. Two young guys, and you're going to be hearing their names a lot in the future.
I think you're right for sure. It's another. Maybe locally, it's probably not one that's flying under the radar because Kevin's got a pretty big fan base that are excited for him to come out and make his pro debut, and then that's they've maybe seen him fight a whack of times, but now it's sort of for real, which has got people hyped up and excited about it. So I'm equally as excited because I'd like to see what Kevin can do, but also see how Surrey has been able to make his improvements from the last time out, which was, did he fight in June?
I don't think he did. I think his opponent pulled out. His opponent was from TriStar, I believe.
No,
or he's supposed to fight in November, but yeah.
He was supposed to fight Paul Fisher.
And so was Kevin, right? Kevin was supposed to fight Paul Fisher?
Yes. I don't want to talk about
I was actually offered Paul Fisher as well once, and he turned it down.
Is that right?
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah. And that was actually, they offered me that the day before the Vlad fight. And I was like, well, let me get back to you. Right. Like, cause I was fighting in 2 days. Like, they also bugs me. It's like, they should know that I'm about to fight in 2 days. I don't want to hear about another fight. Yeah. And I didn't realize, so after the Vlad fight, I didn't realize I broke my nose in the fight. So, like the doctor stitched me up. He didn't say anything about a broken nose. I had, lots of marks on my face and so on and so forth. And I took the fight like a few days after the Vlad fight. Cause one thing with me with fighting is as soon as I have a fight, I'm like, when can I do that again? Sure. Right? Like the adrenaline. So I took that fight and then, like it never went to fruition. And, which I was kind of glad because I got a much easier opponent, but turns out I had a broken nose. So then all through training, I was trying to like deal with this broken nose. Like, so I took a fight less than 2 months after a fight where, I probably got hit in the face 150 times and a broken nose. It was tough to get ready for a fight with an injury like that. So, but yeah, Paul Fisher, his name gets thrown around a lot. I don't even think I've ever seen him fight someone.
He fought last show and he did a great job. He fought Tisha Guthrow at 45. So Tisha came up from 35 and fought him, and they were going to war. That was a hell of a fight. Couldn't have kicked off the show better.
Okay,
but the doctor stopped it due to a cut over his eye, which was massive.
Yeah.
He ended up bleeding all over his paycheck and needing a new one.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remembering now that we joked that I said to him, you should keep that check and frame it or something, like your first professional paycheck. So,
yeah.
Like that's really neat because we had to cancel it and issue a new one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he asked to keep it or how that works.
How that works. Yeah, I don't know because could he cash it again? Like,
well, if they cancel it, it'll show up as canceled, but,
okay. I don't know that stuff.
Neither do I. I'm sure that he wasn't able to keep it, but it would have been kind of neat to be. It
would be. Yeah. I keep a bunch of like I have like one fight that I won. Where I split the guy open with elbows. I kept the wraps, so I've just got these bloody wraps upstairs. Yeah. Because those things are kind of cool to keep, right? Like almost a memento of I try
to make a point with guys making their debut. I try to make a point that win or lose, like the guys that lose will often like throw their gloves off and because they're upset. So I try to collect them and give them to them. Like, hey, like these are your first pair of gloves from your pro debut. Like,
yeah,
they may right now they probably don't mean anything to you, but down the road you're probably gonna damn it, I wish I had my first pair of gloves. Or if you become like a John Jones or GSP or something, then
you have those. Yeah,
first pair of gloves, and your cousin can steal them and sell them for a huge amount of money. Like,
oh yeah,
great idea.
Yeah, I all the time people throw their gloves in corners, and you're just like, well, I'm just gonna take these, and now I have extra training gloves.
Yeah, we had, I think it was Kyle Nelson. I think he had some big fan at the first fight, and I said, I leaned into him, I go, give that kid your gloves, and the kid would freak out. So sure enough, he gave the kid the gloves and a high five, and the kid lost his friggin' mind.
Yeah, and you have a fan for it, yeah.
Right, yeah. Like for Kyle as an athlete himself, like that kid is going to remember that situation, and no matter what, he's going to be a big Kyle Nelson supporter because he has a pair of gloves that he wore in the cage and yada yada. So stuff like that I think is super important to guys coming up and little mementos and stuff like that. So I don't know how we got on that discussion.
This podcast, I go off the rails all the time. I never have a plan.
I was trying to circle us back.
It's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. We can move on to the next. So we were talking about Kevin Surrey. It's going to be a great fight.
One thing that we do pride ourselves on with BTC, because we are essentially a female-run organization. We try to at least one female fight per show.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So far we've been able to do that. And this show, we're going to have 2. I tried to have 3, but we're going to have 2 for this one. So the Kevin Bass Jones team.
You're talking about female fights. Then you talked about Kevin.
Female fights. Oh yeah, him again.
So Kevin, an Evo teammate. Yeah.
Yes, Evo Team Evolution, Maxime Turkotnova-Sedlec, Golden Gloves boxer, blue belt in jiu-jitsu, very crafty, has done some wrestling in the past too. We've got her right now listed against Sierra Dinwiddie from Kelowna, BC.
Cool.
That's going to be an interesting fight at 135, both women's first pro fight. So that'll be a lot of fun, 135 pounds. I don't know. You never know what you're going to get from the guys out west. And coming from Toshido, where Rory McDonald got his start, and she's going to spend some time. There's some big names coming out of there. David Lee's done a great job. So Sierra is going to come ready for sure. No question about it. And I've been speaking with Aiden, Max's coach, almost daily since we started getting this thing going, and I can sense the excitement in his voice each day that we speak. They're getting fired up, they're getting ready.
Yeah.
And she's going to come and put on a show.
Yeah.
She's an aero engineer, I think.
Oh, so she's smart too. Great.
Yeah.
She can fight and she's smart.
Not just like science smart, she's genius.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's got it all. She's well-rounded in that aspect of things too. But so one of the female fights that we'll have, and the other one will be Jolene Maisonneuve from OAMA. Jolene.
Yeah, she's a monster. Yeah, I didn't know she was fighting. Yeah. Yeah,
she's it's not easy finding female fighters for sure. So we're going all over the place to find these ladies, and we've got Gloria Gratchinen from Spokane, Washington, that'll be making the trip west.
Cool.
For this one, that'll be at 145 pounds. And again, like I don't know a lot about Gloria, but I know Joe's very well versed in jiu-jitsu and that sort of thing. He's had a few MMA fights. Again, Topology is not accurate.
Hit or miss, yeah.
I think she's listed there as 1-0. On the official database, she's 0-1.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else said, well, she told me that she's actually 3-1.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
data record keeping isn't the best, but
Topology is weird because like all of my fights are on Topology, including this one fight that I did in some gym that had 10 people that was at 9:00 on a Saturday morning, but it was sanctioned in Montreal and it's on Topology.
That's how it happens. Once you make things legitimate, and that's why fights aren't put on there, because they're not actually.
Well, there's a big problem with Ottawa and Ontario amateur. So heroes who like Kevin and probably Jolene have fought for, they were kind of doing stuff under the radar a bit. Maybe that's probably why Topology.
Yeah, if the promoter doesn't submit the results to either the official database or a site like Topology or SureDog or something like that, then they're not listed. And they essentially didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which is it's a challenge for when these guys want to go pro. And it's like, well, you show me proof that you're able. Like, okay, well, I had five amateur fights. All right, well, provide me with some proof. Like, okay, here's a video of it or whatever. I'm like, well, that's okay, but where did that happen? Who was the opponent? How did it, yada yada yada. Like, it's just it creates more issues for the guys. Now, the good thing is next year, we hope that there's going to be a significant change in the amateur rules as far as the promoting and sanctioning of these fights is concerned. So I hope it doesn't turn into the Wild West again, where everybody and their dog's going to do a show and start doing greasy stuff and just go back to the old days.
Yeah.
But if it's down the middle, if the commission sanctions it and all that stuff, then it's going to be fantastic for the development of the sport. And that goes to the accurate record keeping and the proper development of these athletes. And when it is time for them to go pro, they're going to have 10 fights under their belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's going to be fantastic for the growth of the sport in the province. And that's going to be great for BTC and other promotions that may pop up along the way.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many fights in total on the card? Well, I think we've talked about 5 for them so far. Talk about 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Matt Special versus Ruslan Zada, another 155 pounds. We've seen Matt a couple times before, product of Bazooka Joe Kickboxing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, crafty with his hands. Sneaky wrestling, like really sneaky wrestling. And again, he's another guy that to get some more work in with some of the more seasoned pros around here. He's made the trek down the highway to Parabellum and training center to get working with those guys as well to round things out. Really high on him. He's fighting debuting Ruslan Zada, who's he's got credentials, black belt in judo, competed at an international level in judo, and he competed nationally with wrestling as well. So pretty clear that this guy's ground game is solid. He is training with Gary Goodrich, as a matter of fact.
Oh, old school.
Yeah, so that was kind of really interesting when he mentioned that. Actually, Gary had sent me a couple emails, and then finally, I guess his assistant, they were going to my junk mail or something, and his assistant called me and was like, Gary's trying to get a hold of you. What's the deal? Here's his number. Call him. So I called him, and it was so crazy that I'm like, I'm actually on the phone with Gary Goodrich setting up a fight with one of his students on our show. Like, this is insane.
Awesome.
So that's kind of neat. I'm excited to see what Ruslan's all about. I'm excited to see Matt. I mean, it's all pretty clear to me that he's going to be tested with his takedown defense and his ground game if the fight does go to the ground. So I'm excited about that. Matt, like I said, Matt's a great striker. My phone, I got a new phone with the face thing. I can't on the sly open my phone up because I got to be staring at it and open.
Oh yeah.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So that's that. Medicine Hat, Alberta native, now residing in Ottawa, Ontario, Colton Boxell, who trains at New Era.
New Era, yeah.
Through Jeff. He's going to be fighting Nolan Brandt.
Yeah.
At 170. That should be an interesting one too. Nolan is, if I'm not mistaken, was 4-5, 5-5 as an amateur.
Yes. So I don't know if you know this. Me and Nolan know each other really well.
Oh.
So when I first started training, I trained in Belleville, just about 2 hours north of Toronto. Yeah. And Nolan was a white belt at the time, and he got his blue belt maybe like half a year into me training. And then, so his coach right now, Lofty, was my first MMA coach. So Lofty cornered me at BTC because, Lofty, my first coach, but my other corner, Corey McDonald, who was ex-TKO champ, he was cornering my other friend Ty out in Montreal the night before. So I had Lofty fill in, and so me and Nolan trained together a long time. He had lots of amateur fights. That sounds about right. His record's about 4-5 because he went 0-3 in his first fights. And it sounds bad, but if you were there at the fights, like Nolan was fighting guys 50 pounds heavier than him, right? Because Nolan used to walk around at like 200 pounds or so. And they were always just wars. And and then Nolan, unfortunately, I think he won a fight and then he blew out his ACL, and now he's been fighting in cage wars and other fights here and there. But I know for a fact Nolan's going to be wearing a pair of Manto blue shorts that I gave to him because I bought them and they're way too big for me. And he wears them every fight now. But Nolan's a good guy, very slick on the ground. Ontario Opens, big jiu-jitsu tournament. Nolan has won blue belts and absolutes every time he goes. He's won it multiple times. Very slick jiu-jitsu practitioner and can punch you in the face too. So
yeah, see, and that's what makes it fun. Boxell's he's a jiu-jitsu guy first, and I don't know what brought him to Ottawa, whether it was work or
yeah.
whatever, but to work on his striking, he's at the right gym.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, like I live 10 minutes away from New Era, and I've trained with some of their guys a bit. Just unfortunately, like, I'm at a competitor gym here in Ottawa, but
Sure.
New Era guys, Crew Jeff, very good. I don't know Cole too well. I know a lot of their Thai guys. Mateo, I don't know if you ever seen Mateo fight. Mateo's probably got the best jiu-jitsu MMA here in Ottawa. That kid's a freak.
Gearing up for some hardware down the highway pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah. So New Era is just producing they're in a good spot right now where they're just making these freak MMA fighters. And so he's going to have a good fight against Nolan. And yeah, that's going to be fun.
That'll be a fun one for sure. I'm not sure if I am leaving one out. Kyron Cameron, another BTC veteran. He's got a couple fights with us under his belt. He's going to be taking on a guy named Tom Connolly from New York, Elmira, New York. So he'll be making a short drive up the highway, competing against Kyron. And we're sort of toying with, is it going to be 65? Is it going to be 70? Somebody should have got off the pot because we got to get this thing done.
Yeah.
So that's not the bout order that we're going to go in.
Things change, and
the top few fights I mentioned, definitely that's how they're going to line up. But I got to play with the bottom half so there's going to be some coaches that are coaching two different athletes on the card, so they tend to not want to go back to back. So they have an opportunity to warm the other guy up and stuff like that. So we'll be playing around with the bout order and stuff like that. But and I'm hoping to add, I've got a couple of other fights that I'm waiting for licensing before I can say anything.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to bring 10 fights to Ottawa, given that we're a couple weeks out now. So fingers crossed for 10. Even those 8 fights right there, I'm super excited about. They're all going to be, they all should be really great fights. And again, the fight fans in Ottawa are loud and passionate, and it should be a really good night. Yeah,
I'm very excited for it to come. Like obviously, it's like bittersweet because I really would like to be on the card, and every time I see the posters up in town and see my name on them, I'm just torn apart just because I really enjoyed fighting for you guys. BTC, like I've fought for a lot of promotions, and you guys are up there with me, and for one of my favorites. And so I am heartbroken that I'm not on the card, but hope you understand, Rob.
Listen, that's the beauty part of the medicals and their importance to the whole thing, because some guys can have an injury like that and ignore it and want to just put in the cage anyways, and then things could go south in a real hurry.
Yeah. And I don't want this to be my last fight. I feel like I'm constantly getting better, even though I'm getting older. My body's not holding up to what it used to be, but technically I'm feeling like I'm getting better. So I want to keep fighting. And, so sometimes you got to say no to a fight to potentially have a longer career. So I've had a rough year with a bad back injury and now this concussion. So, but hopefully I'll be fighting soon. Yeah. Maybe hopefully it's with you guys.
That would be nice. We got another show this year and 4 next year.
Awesome. You did talk to me a little bit. I got to bring this up before we go. You did talk to me a little bit about me potentially going to Kingston. So Kingston's my hometown. It's where I grew up. I've lived in Ottawa for the last 5 years or so. But is that still on the radar potentially?
Kingston's on the radar. There's we'll do a show in Burlington every year. That's home base. So we're going to do a show in Burlington every year. So now we have at least three other places to fill. So we're talking about places like Kingston. I saw Cornwall on the board, Derry, Brampton, Kingston, or Kitchener. We're basically where there's going to be fighters and fans, we're going to go.
I love it.
We want to expose the sport to the whole province, and we'll see how things go. And if we can do 6 a year, that would be great too.
Yeah.
We doubled up this year with how many shows we're going to do, and I'm feeling it. We're already halfway there. and I'm already feeling it. It's so to add another 2 to the mix. I'm not sure. I'm starting to lose my hair in the back a little bit.
Yeah.
We got a couple more.
You'll need an assistant or something.
An assistant. My hair will follow, just go like the full Messier.
Yeah.
Take it right down. But I would love to do 6. If we could do 6 a year, I'd be happy, because I love doing this so much that for it to be a constant, everyday pain in the ass, I would be a very happy guy.
Awesome. Yeah. And I really hope too, because about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I'm trying to make a pro debut, I feel like I'm ready. There's nowhere to fight in Ontario. And even though I had 16 amateur fights, I couldn't find fights anywhere, and because nobody's going to fly you out to fight. And then, I got a good fight against an opponent in California, but I find some stud who, is a world champ brown belt, and, that's my only option. I got to fight that on 6 days notice.
Right.
So it makes it tough for, amateur fighters and professional fighters. Now, because you guys are here in Ontario and you're building up these shows, and these shows are amazing and tickets are affordable, more and more people are going to go. They're going to love it. The sport's going to be bigger in Ontario. And it's really awesome to see, because Ontario MMA before you guys was pretty slow, aside from the UFC, there was nothing.
There were some tough times for sure, and there's different reasons for that. A lot of people want to place blame on the commission. And like I've said in numerous conversations with people, I've never had any firsthand dealings with the previous commissioner. But when they made the change, when Mr. Hayashi had retired, Ray Dempster came in, opened the doors up, was very open and welcoming, and very by the book. You got to do this, this, and that, and you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So provided you play by the rules, there really shouldn't be any hangups. So he was good. He was fantastic. He was in on an interim basis, but he was great. And then they put the posting out, and they hired the current commissioner, Luke, who is equally as fantastic, super easy to work with. I know that we've had numerous late night conversations. And Molly's calling me right now from the commission's office.
Oh, tell Molly I said hi, because I've had lots of emails with her.
Yeah, I'm sure she's I'm curious to know what that's about. But
okay, well, I'll let you go.
He's fantastic also. That's really helped the development. If the commissioner and the people in the office are interested and willing and fans and want the sport to grow, it's going to grow. So now that we've got them on board, we're on board, and the athletes are slowly getting on board themselves. Mm-hmm. It makes it a lot easier, and there's a deeper pool to choose from. And to be quite frank, I don't want to be risking one of our titles going to the States or going to somewhere else. These are Canadian titles, Ontario specifically, but if we can keep everything in Canada, that would be fantastic. But because of the different droughts that the sport's had, it's caused a bit of a problem. So now we're working on fixing that. The amateur stuff is looking like it's getting fixed up. So, the sport is looking great for the foreseeable future, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited. And like I said, I'll be bugging you about November or something once I get all cleared up.
Let me know when you're good to go. I'm putting it together now.
Awesome. It was great talking to you. I'll see you in less than a month, August 24th at the UI Center. Again, the UI Center, one of the best. When you guys announced UI Center, I was so pumped because that's the one of the biggest venues here. I went to a metal concert there. Like, it's awesome. It's a sweet venue. So very excited for that.
I'm going to bring my gis. Are you going to be around?
Oh, I'll be around. I'm always training. Yeah. I'm just getting back into it. Like, I did a couple light workouts last week, couple light workouts this week. I actually bought this new thing called a Whoop to track my training. Cause I don't know if I mentioned this. So like when I train, I train 6.5 hours a day. So the day I got hurt, I got up, I went to hockey at 7 a.m. Then I ran 8 kilometers. Then I went to jiu-jitsu at lunch, and then I went back and did jiu-jitsu and then sparring. I probably shouldn't have been sparring. And I was, it was at the end of 15 minutes of hard sparring with Kevin, who's a freak. And I was tired, and I zigged and he zagged, and I got hurt. So, if I've got,
could have played a lot of that too. And that's what the weight cutting, everyone's big concerns are. There's these drastic weight cuts, and then there's no protection around the brain, and then you get whacked, and it's got more impact then.
Yeah. So I know I overtrain, but I kind of monitor it now, right? Now that I've been hurt doing it, because I would just think, like, if I'm not training, like, am I actually overtraining, or am I just being kind of lame? And, like, so.
Have you heard of the saliva test?
No.
After this, I'll send you a link to a doctor down here that you basically spit in the cup, and it goes to the lab, and it comes back and tells you where all your levels are at, and where you're
Cool.
and where you to lift it up. That might be of some assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way you can monitor your levels and stuff.
Yeah, I just want to monitor a bit more, like, when I'm like, this watch tells me about my sleep and my strain and stuff like that. Like, I went for a run this morning. I didn't realize, like, how strenuous the run it was on my heart rate compared to, like, jiu-jitsu last night, so it's interesting to learn. But yeah, so that's a whole different story. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, man, for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason, the folks that are watching this from out of town, because if you live in Ottawa, buy a ticket and go to the show. But if you don't, btcfight.ca, one of the best streams in regional MMA, by far the most affordable. Yeah, hands down.
Absolutely. If there's anything you want me to say, I do a little intro before the show, and I will plug the tickets and all that stuff. So if there's anything you want to add, just send me some notes.
Well, the social accounts is a good one. And they're all at BTC Fight. The tickets, obviously.
BTC Fight, yeah.
BTC Fight, they can buy tickets, or if they got a friend on the show, they can contact them. What else is important? Doors at 5. First fight at 6. That's important.
Cool.
But outside of that, Dan, Kevin, Jolene, Maxime,
Colton,
Nolan to a slightly lesser degree because he's only 40 minutes away.
He's a little bit more than 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, he's about 2.5 hours away. He's in Tynanega.
I thought he was in like Nepean or something.
No, I'm in Nepean.
Oh.
You mean Napanee?
No, I don't think so.
Well, Nolan trains at Diamond in Napanee, so Napanee's right next to Kingston. It's okay. Nolan has fans out here. Don't you worry.
Works for me.
All right.
Thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm going to bring my shit up. So if I got some downtime and you're kicking around,
always welcome. Yeah.
Find some mat space and roll around.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good one, dude.
Thanks, bro.